Okay guys, so we're going to connect today while we've been learning about patterns at the beginning of the year with multiplication, okay? So we're going to start with, if you're a virtual kid, there is a file that's uploaded that has a hundreds chart on Canvas. So I want you to print that out and we're going to cut it out. If you are at school, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to glue it into our BOM, our book of math, okay? So go ahead, and if you are a virtual kiddo, I want you to go ahead and print this out, and we're going to glue it into our book of math. So I'm going to glue this into my next blank page of book of math. I'm in my multiplication section. Okay, so now I have this glued in my BOM, my book of math. Okay, I'm going to give this a title, and we're going to call this multiplication patterns. Okay, I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. Multiplication patterns. If you need to pause the video to go ahead and write this at the top of your page, you can do so. Okay, so now that we have this glued in our book of math, we're going to start looking for some patterns that we notice on this chart. Okay, so I want us to get a colored pencil, and I want us to count by twos. And as we count by twos, we're going to color those numbers on our chart. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to hold up one finger. 2, so find that on your hundreds chart and color in 2. Then we have 4. What comes after 4? 2, 4, 6. Okay, so far it looks like, mine looks like this. 2, 4, 6. The next two, we can just count over 2 spaces. 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we have 2 more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Good. After 10, 2 more would be 12. Then 2 more would be 14. Then 16. Then 18. And we're going to stop at 20 for today. Okay, so now your chart should look like this. Okay, something like this. I want you to take a second and I want you to think about what patterns do you notice on our number chart? What patterns do you notice on our number chart? Okay, awesome. I'm noticing that I have 2 and 12. And I noticed, as we were talking about this the other day in class, that when I moved down the hundreds chart from 2 to 12, my 10 is changing. Then I have 22 and 32. Good. Also notice that over here I have 4 and 14, and 6 and 16, and 8 and 18. Okay. Also notice that all of the numbers that I colored are even. They end with a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. Okay? Now why is this important? Okay? Why are we going to be doing this and skip counting by twos? How does that relate to multiplication? I want you to think about that for a second. Okay, so as we're thinking about this, this is why multiplication patterns are important. Okay, if I want to solve an equation that looks like this, where I have an array and I have 4 groups of 2, okay, This is important because I can use my number chart to help me find the answer to this. There's a lot of different strategies we've been talking about. So I can start with here. I could use my arrays, okay, but I'm going to erase that because I want us to think about how we can use our chart to help us solve 4 times 2. And we remember that the X means what? The X means groups of. So I have 4 groups of 2. So I want to figure out the answer to this. So I can use my chart, and I'm going to, as I do this, I'm going to count, and I'm going to find 4 groups of 2. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I land right here, I land on 8. Okay, so that's one way we can use this to help us as we're solving our multiplication facts. Okay, let's try another one, and I want you to use your number chart to help you solve 8 times 2. I want you to use your chart to find 8 times 2. Okay, so as you're doing that, we're going to count. You're going to use our hundreds chart here, and we're going to count by 2s 8 times. So we're going to start here with 2, 4, that's 2, 3, 4, and we're going to come back, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have landed on what number? Yes, 16, good. So 8 times 2 is 16. Good. Okay, let's try one more. And I would like for you to solve 6 times 2 equals something. All right, you solve 6 times 2. Okay, if you've got it, on the count of 3, I want you to tell me the answer. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's 12. Good. So you're using your chart and you're counting 6 times until you get to 12. That is wonderful. Good. Okay. So this is how we use multiplication and patterns to help us find the answers to multiplication equations. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of change gears here a second, and we're going to do some things for the second part of our lesson. We're going to do something called things that come in groups, okay? And I know we've done this before, and you may have it in your notebook, but we're going to set it up in a different way, okay? So in your notebook, I want you to turn to your next blank page in your book of math. Okay, so here I'm going to use 2 pages, okay? And I want you to see how I'm going to set this up because I want you to do yours just like mine, okay? So, just one second. I'm going to pause my video so you guys can copy. Okay, so for the first step that we're going to do is I want you to use 2 pages. So you're going to need front, like one side, a right side, and a left side to do this chart, okay? So we're going to make something that's called things that come in equal groups. Notice how I wrote 3 words on one side and the other 3 words on the other side. So pause the video, and I want you to copy down, just like on my notebook, things that come in equal groups. Okay, great. Now we're ready for the next step. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pencil and we're going to divide our paper in half like this. Okay? Then we're going to draw lines at the top like this. Okay? Now this is the tricky part. I don't want you to mess up. So here we're going to make 2 lines. So watch first. See how I did that? I made 2 lines. I'll do it again on the other side. Okay, so just like this. So pause the video if you need to while you're making your book of math look like mine. Okay, now that we have our book kind of set up, we're going to make headings in each of our boxes. So I'm going to write just like this. I have 2s, 3s, and 4s. So go ahead and write that in your notebook. Then we're going to have 5s, 6s, 7s, like this. Then on the other side, we're going to have 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. Okay, we're going to leave that blank one, or the last one, empty. Okay, so this is what your notebook should look like. This is going to be something that you can come back to. We're going to fill some of this out today, but you can come back to this and add to this list as you look around the world and you find other things, okay? So this is called things that come in equal groups. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause the video and I want you to focus only on 2s. So on 2s, I want you to think of all of the things in the world, on your body, things that come in 2s, that always have 2 of something, okay? So pause the video for a second and just take some private reasoning time and write down some things that come in 2s, okay? Okay, so let's talk about some of your answers. I'm sure you probably thought about some things that you find on your body, like your eyes, your ears, you have 2 hands, those types of things. But I want to see if you are really thinking, okay? So I was thinking about what are some other things that I know always come in 2s. So my son Jonas loves peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and so I immediately thought of a sandwich. How many pieces of bread do you have in a sandwich? Yes, 2. So that's one of the things that I wrote. I also thought about bikes. Bikes always have 2 wheels. And then I was also thinking about a bird. How many wings does a bird have? 2. So these are 3 things that I thought of, okay? So if you didn't think of those, you can add those to your list. But I only want us to write down 2s today. We're not going to worry about these other ones here, okay? So now that we're doing this, I'm going to pose a question for you. One thing that I thought of, because I love Chinese food, is I love to eat Chinese food. But if you're eating Chinese food, what is something that you have to eat with? Chopsticks, right. So if you were using chopsticks, how many chopsticks do you have? Good, you have 2, okay? So what if you're having a dinner party and you have 4 people who are coming to your dinner party? How many chopsticks would you need? So take some private reasoning time and think about it for a second. Think about how you could explain how many chopsticks you would need. Okay, there are so many different ways we can explain this. This is like a number talk in math. We could do it so many different ways. So one way we could say it is we have 4 people, so we could do repeated addition. So we could say 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8. We could also use it as a multiplication equation where we could say we have 4 people and the chopsticks, each one has 2, so we would have 4 groups of 2 equals 8. So here is what you're going to do. We're going to have a large dinner party for our whole entire class. And there are going to be 27 people in our class. So what I want you to do is we're going to post on Flipgrid. How many chopsticks would you need if you have 27 people coming to your dinner party? Okay? So take some time. Work this out. Figure out how you can solve this. But you're going to post it on Flipgrid, and I'll have the link in Canvas. Okay, friends, it was so good doing math with you guys today. And if you are an in-person student, you are not going to post it on Flipgrid. You're going to post it and write it on a piece of notebook paper and turn it in. All right, it was so much fun doing math with you guys today, and I will see you next time.